We all want to build confident students. It's a great goal. But what if our modern praise-heavy approach to education actually has a hidden dark side? What if, in our race to build kids up, we're accidentally laying the groundwork for arrogance? So let's just ask the question right out of the gate. Is all this nonstop praise creating a generation of arrogant kids? It's a provocative thought, for sure. So today, we're going to dig into the psychology behind this. We'll look at some surprising data and try to figure out where that line is between healthy confidence and, harmful pride. Okay, so here's a crucial thing to understand. The problem might not be praise itself. Not really. Instead, praise can kind of act like fuel for a fire that's already burning inside all of us. It's this fundamental bias in how our brains work. It's called the better-than-average effect. You might have also heard it called the Lake Wobegon Effect. It's this funny cognitive bias where if you ask a room full of people, most of them will say they're above average in things like driving or having a sense of humor. It's just a little quirk in how we see ourselves. So just how powerful is this effect? Well, to figure that out, some psychologists ran a massive study. And I mean massive. They surveyed over 820,000 high school students, and they asked them a pretty simple question. How do your social skills stack up against everyone else? The answers were pretty eye-opening. So get this, the results were literally a mathematical impossibility. A full quarter of them, that's 25%, believed they were in the top 1% when it came to social skills. Over 60% thought they were in the top 10%. And maybe the wildest part, not one single student rated themselves as below average. It's just a perfect snapshot of our built-in need to feel a little bit special. And this is a perfect example of a bigger idea psychologists call the self-serving bias. It's basically our brain's little defense mechanism for our ego. We tend to think our successes are all because of us. But our failures, that's someone else's fault. It helps us feel good about ourselves, and hey, we all do it. All right, so we've established that feeling better than average is, it's a normal human thing. It's an internal feeling. But when does that little private thought cross the line and become a real problem between people? That's when we go from this inner bias to outward arrogance. So this is the key distinction we have to make. The better than average effect, that's an internal feeling. It's a private belief you have in your own head. But arrogance, that's an external action. It's a choice, whether you realize it or not, to show other people you think you're superior. It's not just what you think, it's what you do. And that choice is usually about one thing: power. So what does this actually look like in the real world? Well, an arrogant person tends to way overestimate their own contributions to a project. When something goes wrong, they're not going to look in the mirror. They're going to look for someone else to blame. They might just dismiss other people's ideas as, tacky or outdated, because deep down, they're more interested in being in charge than in actually getting along. Okay, so let's tie this all back to where we started. How does an educational system that's all about pure positivity accidentally feed these negative behaviors? Let's break down the risks. Here it is, the core of the problem. That self-serving bias we all have, that's our brain's default setting. So when a kid is in an environment that filters out all negative feedback, all failure, all constructive criticism, it doesn't just encourage that bias, it validates it. It basically tells the student, yep, you're right. You are better than everyone. That little inner feeling starts to feel like a hard fact. And this kind of unbalanced approach can lead to 3 really big traps. First, social problems. A student who's never been criticized just isn't ready for real-world teamwork. Second, there's a psychological imbalance. An ego that's only built on praise is incredibly fragile. It can completely shatter at the first sign of real failure. And finally, you get learning laziness. I mean, if you already think you're the best, why bother being curious? A know-it-all attitude is pretty much the biggest enemy of real growth. So if pure positivity has these hidden dangers, what's the answer? It's not about creating a harsh, super critical world for kids. No. The solution is actually something way more powerful and way more resilient than that. And let's be clear, the goal is not to get rid of praise. The goal is to build genuine, authentic resilience. And that comes from helping students embrace their true self. A self that includes not just their strengths and successes, but also their weaknesses, their screw-ups, and their failures. See, real confidence isn't believing you're perfect. It's knowing you're not and being okay with that. And that really brings us to the heart of it all. The job of education isn't to create this perfect, shiny illusion of a person. It's to give them the tools, the resilience, and maybe most importantly, the courage to accept their own imperfection, and to see every stumble not as the end of the world, but as a chance to grow.